how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
Right! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio!
Oh no, my headphone. Hello everyone, this is Gail Marie and Nicole, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello everyone.
Welcome to Network Solutions, back for another week. How are you doing, Nicole?
Oh, I'm doing great. A lot better than last week. Last week I was sitting in my car.
Oh, yeah, you had a long weekend.
Yeah, that's for sure. And another long week too. So it should be interesting.
Oh, okay. So what are we going to chat about this week? There's always things to chat about, isn't there? Things going on.
Yeah, well, the last time we spoke, we did the, how can I say, the rally and picnic over at Parliament, which went really well. Actually, it was very encouraging because I was really surprised that the Canadian citizens and even the seniors love the letter so much that we were asking them to read and then sign and send to any MPs. And many of them just signed them back over to us. So I'm still trying to pick and choose which MP we're going to have to kind of clobber and dump all these papers onto.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, to see which one's going to have enough guts to bring it into Parliament, right?
Yeah.
Without having to walk in there myself. So, which I could do. But anyway.
Make sure we get that on film if you do.
Oh, that would be a definite, for sure. I mean, I really need to get myself a better camera. But anyways, on the Sunday when we spoke, then we were at Parliament. We were at the missing and murdered women vigil that they had on Victoria Island in Ottawa, and this was a 24-hour drumming vigil and singing and dancing.
Wow.
Anyways, it started at 6 p.m. and then I was on the radio at that time till 8. And then I went out and they had this really nice fire going and everybody was drumming and singing for the women and all in, there was a lot of different nations there. Mm-hmm. Some women came out from, they said that they had flown 1 hour and 15 minutes in the air and then drove 9 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And they stayed with us the whole 3 days. And the next morning, we stayed up all night. And actually, I did fall asleep in my car for about 45 minutes and totally missed the sunrise ceremony.
Oh.
Which was why I was trying to stay awake for. But anyways, it just goes to show that, if you need sleep, you're going to sleep whether you like it or not.
That's right. That's right.
But anyways, we ended up at Parliament around 8:30. The women marched from Victoria Island to Parliament, and then I went up and set up our things over there. And it was a really, really gorgeous day. And everything was going well. I managed to get a few words with Carolyn Bennett, who is the Liberal MP in Toronto, and she's actually the Indian Affairs critic.
Oh, okay. Hey, Nicole, before we go into that, let's just, for people that are listening that may not be aware of what we're talking about, do you want to just give a little bit of background about the missing
and murdered women? Yeah. What happened? Well, this was a very eventful day, I have to say. I'm going to have to kind of attach a video to my chest here. Well, actually, like my shoulder, just above my shoulders, below my shoulders. But anyways, the missing and murdered women is the Indigenous women's across Canada that have been missing or murdered, and the government has flatly refused to do any more investigations. And if you remember the trial in BC, the Picton trial, where a lot of the Indigenous women were buried on the Picton farm and decapitated and whatnot, and they found body parts. Well, since then, the government has refused to go any further, and the people have asked Peter MacKay, who is the Minister of Justice now, to look more into it. Mm-hmm. Well, about a month ago, Peter MacKay was debating this in Parliament, and he, as far as he was concerned, they had done over 40 investigations, and it was enough. And he stood up, took the papers, and threw them on the floor. Okay, we have a video of that somewhere that maybe we should post and people could see.
Okay, I'll find that and post it into the chat.
Okay, great.
But wasn't there something also that just came up, and I've only just briefly read it, but the RCMP has done some kind of investigation and found the numbers to be something like 1,200?
Yeah, they thought that it was lower than that, and then all of a sudden they're up to almost 1,200. Well, actually, that's not true either. There's when you start going through the communities, and you get the community people together, and they start saying, which family member is missing, you're up into the thousands.
Hmm.
So there's a lack of communication there.
On purpose, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And these women, they've been fighting to get investigations going. Like, if this happened to their daughters, man, there'd be an outright war looking for their killers. And just because these people are Indigenous or like the Native people, the government just doesn't care. And that's their whole plan on their assimilation and what Russell Daibo called Harper's termination plan. Mm-hmm. So as far as the government is concerned, they've invested enough money, and kind of ironically, we've given over $1 billion to Israel to commit genocide against the Palestinians. Yeah. And I guess every Canadian person is okay with that. And that's something I have a hard time digesting. But Peter MacKay, during that day when the demonstrations were happening, we had a lot of, MPs who were coming out for photo ops. And you see them like slivering their way down, and you just sit there and watch this. We had one guy who was walking, and he'd stop and he'd wave and look at everybody. Nobody got up. So he'd take 3-4 steps again, and then he'd turn around and wave again. And I felt like saying, well, what do you want? Want something? Because I kept waving back at him.
They want that celebrity status.
Yeah. And it's like a bunch of vultures flying around a piece of meat, And it's sad because they are using the Indigenous peoples. The opposition parties are using the Indigenous peoples as their meal ticket to getting elected and to looking good. Oh, we're going to say we're so sorry, and we're going to be fighting for you, and we're going to push this government to look into it. And Carolyn Bennett, I mean, she really plays it well. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. I've watched her during the sessions in Parliament, and she even threw her glasses there one time. I thought, wow, she won't be able to see her on her way home, So, but anyways, like I'm listening to this woman, and I really had a lot of respect for her until the 12th of May, because she out flat lied to me. But anyways, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get to that a little bit later. But coming back to Peter MacKay, in regards to the missing and murdered women, he's saying, oh, we're not going to spend any more money or any more time on this. We've already done as much as we can. And he throws the papers on the floor in Parliament. Then the 11th and 12th, we have this vigil, and then we're at Parliament on the 12th. So everything's going good. And wouldn't you know it, there was a bunch of children who came up with their parents, and they're all wearing life jackets. And you've got this little mascot there for the Red Cross, who are doing water safety, week. So all of a sudden we turned around, and Peter MacKay is standing there for a photo op for these children. Like it's a big deal. The justice minister is outside. Never mind that the murdered missing women, like the parents of the murdered missing women, are out there all day, and he doesn't show up, but he shows up for a photo op for the Red Cross, for a small group of people who were up on Parliament with children. Yeah. Well, the mothers right away went right beside their where they had the right to stand and protest. And then everything got kind of a little out of hand, but it had to happen. And one woman went right straight to his face in front of those kids and said a few choice words to him. And he just sat like he had totally turned his back to these women, didn't even want to talk to them. And then he ignores them. So they took the initiative, and finally his assistant comes over and says to them, oh, he's going to come back and speak with you. And the ladies were getting off the stairs thinking, okay, now Peter MacKay is going to finally come and talk to us about, launching a further investigation. So I'm there. Oh my God, don't get off the steps. Don't leave. Don't trust him, because I could see him, like his body language was like, okay, where are the RCMP here to help me out, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
These scary women.
You just, the look on his face, you knew he just wanted to just run out of there. So anyways, finally he comes over, and the mothers, and you have to see this video. Do we have that? Do you have that link, Gail?
I don't have it yet. I'll get it. Okay.
Well, people need to see this video, because it is unbelievable. We had this guy who came up in a wheelchair and with his dog, who could hear the drumming clear across, because we had speakers and stuff. So he was able to hear the drumming. So he came up to Parliament, and he ended up being right in front of these women while all of this was going on, right? And he's filming. And after the women kind of clobbered Peter MacKay and the another minister that was there, and asked them, they told him, like, we want a meeting with you. Well, Peter MacKay, out of Peter MacKay's mouth comes, oh, well, we'd have to hire more police.
Yeah.
So his his answer was, but we have no money. I said, excuse me? We gave, what, $1 billion to Israel to commit genocide on innocent people?
And didn't they also send people over to, was it Africa?
Africa,
to look for those girls.
For those 300 women, right?
Yeah.
Canada's going to do this big to-do. Not that we shouldn't be helping, but come on. Where's the sanity here? We have our own people missing or murdered, and there's no decent investigation. And now the Canadian government's going to beat its chest and say, boom, 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 we're strong, and we're going to go over there. And we're going to help in finding these women.
Yeah.
Like they can actually do something about it, right?
Yeah.
And when they don't even do anything about the women in our own country.
Yeah. Well, and you know what, though? I think that's not going unnoticed, that they're able to send unnamed people even over there to look for those girls. Yet nothing's being done here. Like I don't think that's going unnoticed. I mean, it's not like it's in mainstream media or anything like that, but people are starting to, see that something's just not making sense here.
Yeah, but like the gentleman that was in the wheelchair. After what happened is Sue Martin, whose daughter was murdered. She had her urn there in her hands, and she made that minister. She wrapped that urn around the minister's hands and told her, "You feel my pain, feel her." And then the minister's going, "Oh, I do feel your pain." Like, hello, unless you've walked through Sue's shoes,
Yeah.
or Jocelyn that was there, and the other mothers and fathers, like. She doesn't know their pain. Like, talk about hypocrisy, and the thing is you don't try and pacify parents who are heart wrenched, who are mentally destroyed by the lack of respect that this government is giving them. The thought of the atrocities that their children suffered when they were murdered. Those who might be suffering, for those who are missing, and then their children, what they're going through. So, it was really a sad affair, but it had to happen. And it was kind of funny because all the women gathered around. Well, his assistant, Peter's assistant, was trying to record what was going on, and then Tasha, she says to him, just move, let the women come in. So he moves out of the way, and then Peter MacKay and the other minister were totally circled by these women, and they were having a discussion. And it's like Peter, it's almost like you could see Peter thinking, okay, where's the RCMP? Where are they? Like, come and get me. Like, get me out of this mess. You could just feel it.
Yeah.
And none of the guys moved. The RCMP just stayed right there.
Yeah.
And these guys aren't nuts, like the guys that were at the Parliament Hill, the RCMP that were there, I have to thank them because they were very, very helpful. If they would have came and gotten Peter MacKay out from around the women, from in the middle of the women, things would have, how can I say,
escalated?
Everything happened. Yeah, well, it would have escalated, but at the same time, nothing could have been done because then Peter had to agree to meet with these women. And we've got them on film. Okay, so this has to go out because when the gentleman in the wheelchair, when everything was done and Peter left, Sue, he told Sue and I, he says, before, when I used to watch, the stuff about the missing and murdered women or hear about it on TV or in the newspapers, he says, I'll be honest with you. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I really didn't care.
Yeah.
Until he says to Sue, you put that urn in that minister's hands. Now I care.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I guess this is as good a time as any to bring in what we had talked about just before the show with the whole idea of caring. That it's so, for the majority of people, we're not right in the middle of the situation. So it's not that it's not real, but it's just sort of over there. And we're so preoccupied with our day-to-day life and our own issues and our own challenges and our own families and jobs and mortgages and bills and all that sort of stuff that we get sort of self-absorbed and we forget. We care in talking, but we need to start caring in action.
Well, that's the same thing with cancer, okay? Like, I was involved trying to help a family. Their 6-year-old had a brain tumor, and inoperable brain tumor. And the thing is, you know, how many times, like, people really don't stop and think about cancer or anything else like that until somebody in their immediate family gets touched by it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, what are we going to do about our government? We're losing this country right now. When are we going to stop and do something? When you see everything turning into Chinatown right across the country because we lost this country to a lawsuit because we stopped China from making money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the reality of things. You know, I have nothing against Chinese people. The China part was just because China is in a deal with us for 31 years. And they have we can't sue China for destroying this land, but they can sue us if we stop them, if we prevent them from making money for their investors. And that's at the international level.
What kind of a deal is that?
And for 31 years. Well, that's all part of the globalization scheme.
Right.
And they want us to be angry with our government because who's behind this but the United Nations? People have to realize that the UN was set up for global government. And all they do is they're there to pacify us and to make us scream, oh, we hate our governments, and we're going to, we want the United Nations to, everybody's going to have the same laws. Because every time you complain to the UN, we are a step further into globalization and having a United Nations global government.
So how do you see I think he's called a special envoy to the UN?
James Anaya,
yeah, for the indigenous people. I've been seeing, I guess, articles about him, you know, saying how terrible Canada is in relation to the indigenous people. And, of course, people just lap that right up, right? Because he's absolutely right. But from the perspective of the globalization, how do you see that?
Well, I don't even think he knows what's going on, that he's being used.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, I have a hard time with stupid people. Like, no offense to anyone, but when you're holding that position, you know, and you're that dense, it's like, okay, well, how long have you been doing this? This is what I'd like to ask James Anaya, and I think I said that last week. I would like to ask him, how many reports have you written and something was actually physically done by the UN in order to achieve something here?
Well,
Or
nothing has been done, right? Because the government won't let them in. So is this an opportunity that they're hoping that people will demand that the government let them in?
Well, you mean for the UN to come to Canada?
Well, in relation to the indigenous people, I mean, that's a perfect angle to.
That was that's just a pawn in a chess game. Oh, Canada won't let us come to talk to the indigenous. Like, that's a crock of shit. First of all, we have how many United Nations buildings here in Canada? They're supposed to have immunity. That's all a play, okay? These guys all have immunity. They can go wherever they want. They do not get searched anywhere. They can walk, how can I say? They couldn't walk into any airport or any security area, and they have immunity. So to me, that's a crock, okay? First of all. Second of all, we do have offices here. And when they're using, oh, well, Canada won't let us in, that's just for fireworks to dress things up. Because when you're looking at the United Nations, okay, since 1989, they have done nothing about the treaties. we've had the Skahe who went there in the 1920s. And when he went to the UN, and when he came to come back to Canada, he was refused and ended up having to go to the United States. He was never able to come back here. And he was from Six Nations, Brantford, where I'm at right now. Well, not right now, but where I've done my research and that, and with the people that I'm working with there. So when you look at the history, the UN has never done anything concrete for these people. So you can write report after report after report, and you might as well just burn it.
Yeah. Tell you something you don't know.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with this global governance. Now the UN is giving courses on global governance. You could come to Switzerland, and enjoy a couple of weeks of courses. We're going to teach you how we're going to do global governance. Well, do they advertise that to everybody? As far as I'm concerned, we should have almost 35 million people here in Canada. That should get a slip telling them that if we're coming in with global governance, and you could come and have a course with us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Something as simple as that. But no, they hide everything because they know people won't put up with it. So, when you have Peter MacKay, who says, "Oh well, we don't have enough money to." We need to hire more police, but we don't have enough money. And then damn well they just gave $1 billion for genocidal acts in Israel, for Israel to commit genocidal acts, because that's what it is. That's the reality. In our name. On top of that, it's really insulting. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So why don't we take a moment, because we're identifying a lot of the issues. And the name of the show is Solutions Network. Why don't we just take a moment to throw in there what our solution or our suggestion is, and always open to expanding that suggestion and ideas, which is taking back final decision-making authority.
Exactly.
Taking back final decision-making authority.
Yeah, these guys are out of control, and it's not just the Harper, government. It's all of them. Not one. Like, it's sickening when you're standing at Parliament and you see them slithering themselves on the lawn and off the stairs trying to get a photo op.
Yeah.
It's so out there.
Yeah.
There's nothing honest about it. There's no really caring about it, because in the next breath, they're going to lie right to your face. So when you have somebody like Peter MacKay, who knows that these women are there, knows that they're demanding, that the men and women are demanding that their families, that there's investigations made and more further inquiry. And then he just comes down the steps, turns his back to them, and tries to, have a smile on his face. Well, the thing is what ended up happening is when I turned around, when the women surrounded Peter MacKay, I turned around, and all of those people with their kids had literally ran off the hill. Okay. I turned around and went, holy crap, where's everybody? Because I wanted to make sure those kids were fine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it could have been very traumatic for them.
Yeah.
And then it's another cause that just feeds into the racism, right? Because now these, lily white parents and other ethnic groups that were there with their kids are going to say, oh, those Indians, what are they doing to us, Look at how they're behaving. Well, excuse me. At some point, you get pushed to the limit. And these women, as much as I think that they did beautifully, I commend them for what they did. And I'm surprised that one didn't actually deck Peter MacKay. Okay. So they showed a lot of restraint. And, so when you have Peter MacKay who is saying, okay, well, yes, we're going to meet. Well, we're going to meet. What's that going to do, right?
Yeah.
now you have, and this goes way beyond this, because in the Picton trial and that, there is question about police brutality, how the RCMP might have killed some of these people
Yeah.
and hidden it. So what's the real story behind them not wanting to look further into it? There's a lot more to this. So the nations want to do their own investigation. But how do they get their hands on everything? Well, the only way we're going to know the truth about the missing and murdered women, what's in the cloud seeding, are we being polluted? Are they putting stuff in the air? And that's why we've got such an increase in cancer rates. Is barium really in that cloud seeding material where it's making people have Alzheimer's? Like, all of this will only happen once we take back our power. And that solution is to either all get together and sign a legal declaration that we are removing final decision-making authority out of all levels of governance, and changing our representative democracy to a direct participatory democracy, where we have the last say. Like, if you look at the China deal, 31 years, come on. Most people, you don't need a college education or a big degree to know that that's a bad deal right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, it makes no common sense. These guys have totally flipped, but they want us to hate them. And it's all for a purpose. And when you stand, okay, and you look at the research, and you look at everything, and it's like, wow, now you see the big picture. Mm-hmm. Problem, reaction, solution. People are going to be begging the UN for a global government. Well, so now they're all fixed up with their little local, their global government, which most people are oblivious to and don't want to believe, because who generates propaganda but the UN and our governments? Okay, we have that proof. So, then they call us conspiracy theorists. Well, hey, if the shoe fits. There is a conspiracy out there, and it's the governments and the United Nations against all of humanity. And that's the reality, and it's as big as it gets. But to get back to, like, our solutions, unless we take back our power, and we'll never have transparency into anything. They might be innocent of something, but we don't know if they're innocent, because everything's hush hush. Well, if everything was hush, you have to go through the Freedom of Information Act to get any information. And now they're saying that you might have to wait like 1,000 days before they reply to you. Like, what the hell?
They have to see what's going on first. And
yeah. So, and then when it comes back, it's all scratched off. We are now a carbon copy of the United States. You never would have had that kind of stuff going on here in Canada before. Yeah. And since the NDAA was signed, that now the U.S. military and the cops are allowed to come to Canada and rule here, it's so sickening and heart-wrenching, because we have almost 35 million Canadians who are oblivious, who don't want to listen, and then they're going to be crying when the shit hits the fan.
I also
what are we supposed to do with that?
I just want to add in the whole idea of us taking back final decision-making authority. Mm-hmm. And I may be wrong here, but my understanding, sort of in growing up, in my days when I was less aware, I thought we had that power already.
Well, most people think that.
That's right. And that's most people the point I want to make.
Yeah, but see, having the power to elect some Joe Schmo to make your decisions and the laws over you, that doesn't give you any power at all.
That's right. And that's the point I want to make, is that we think that we already have the power. But the reality of the situation is that we should, but we don't. And that's
Yeah.
why this is so important. And we talked a little bit last week about this, creating the foundation before we can do really anything. Everybody, there's so many people that have so many great ideas and, great solutions. But until we create that foundation where the people are the ones holding the power, none of those solutions, it'll be huge challenges to get those solutions to manifest, if they manifest at all. Because, and that, until we have the power back, I mean, anything that anybody's trying to do is creating opportunities for conflict, because we don't have the power right now. We can think we do all we want, but the reality is we don't, and they're not going to give it up that easy. But as you mentioned, I think last week as well, there is no remedy for them for this situation, because there's nothing they could do about it, because this is how it's supposed to be, that they're supposed to be representing what we are telling them.
Exactly. And I just put the link, I just posted the link in the chat on the video. And I have to apologize to everybody, because I'm not this is something that just happened. I decided, okay, here's this woman, I'm going to go and talk to her, and I want to ask her something. And she lies to me not once but twice.
Yeah, lying
right
liars.
To my face. Right
Yeah.
to my face. And that these people we have now, last week I told you 68, but it's now 69 people, MPs in government, in the Canadian government, that sit on the campaign appeal. Okay, this is what they call it, the UNPA, UNPA campaign, which is Giving the World Citizens a Voice, campaign for United Nations Parliamentary Assembly. Now, why would they be sitting on a campaign for United Nations Parliamentary Assembly if they're oblivious that we're going through globalization? My thing is that, okay, why are they not telling the constituents that globalization is coming in, and they're trying to sit on a campaign for United Nations Parliamentary Assembly in order to protect our rights to stop globalization? Okay, but the whole point of this assembly is the way they've discussed it in one of the UN press conferences is that they want only parliamentarians will be able to sit on this. And so when do we have a voice? We don't have a voice in Canada right now. And what makes us think that we're going to have a voice at the UN, especially when 5 countries have veto power? So, you've got 5 major countries there that have veto, and whatever we want will never get heard. We don't get it here at the provincial level. We don't even get it at the community level, because sustainable development is coming in at the community level. And now the UN has a bunch of people that we don't know, that we didn't elect, that are making decisions as to what Canadians do in Canada environmentally. And and the UN does say that global governance is not government, but it is there to set limits.
Right. Sorry. I had my microphone
That's
off.
okay.
I have to do that once a show, at least.
No kidding. But, it's a catch-22, because then, like I said, I posted the link there with the interview with Carolyn Bennett. And she is the Indigenous critic. So she was trying to get some photo ops.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's then she's sitting on this this governance, this assembly for global governance.
And global governance, when you read everything about global governance, it indicates, like, that's why they're taking away the nation's lands. If you look at all the lands that will be turned over to the United Nations after the land claims are finalized with the nations, it's sickening. The list is so long, Gail, it's not funny. It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
We will not be able to go anywhere in Canada. Our mountains will be off limits because we already have that in Quebec, where they call it a ZEC, and it's a private place where it's supposed to be under protection so that, the animals, but it's only under protection to a limit. If you have a lot of money, you can go fish and hunt in those areas whenever you want.
Mm.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, during the seasons, and the normal person can't go, and even the nations can't go on those territories, which is actually theirs.
Yeah. We actually had something at our dog park. It's the part that we go to for the dog park is behind a conservation area. Mm-hmm. And last year, the town that I live in and the Toronto Conservation Authority had a public meeting, because they always want the public's input, right? So we went to this meeting, and they're moving the off-leash area. They're going to move it to a different spot. And right now, we have a gorgeous area. It has paths through a forest. There's a stream. The dogs, play in the water. The off-leash, the area that's designated off-leash was just like a pit. No trees, nothing. So it's really hot in the summer. And a lot of people just walk through the forest. No harm done. The paths are already there, so nobody's creating new paths. But anyway, so they have this meeting, and they're saying, we're going to do this. We're going to get rid of them there, move this to here and that sort of thing. And I said to them, because they were saying that the dogs are interfering or hindering with the fern and fawn, I think they called it. And I said, so are you telling me there's no other wildlife in that forest? Oh, yes, there is. Because I've seen coyotes there. Yeah, there's coyotes, there's squirrels, there's whatever else is there. I don't even know what else is there. And I said, so all of the damage, quote unquote, that you're saying is being done, do you have any kind of proof that it's by the dogs? Because you have to remember, this area is really big. And I mean, when I go for walks, and we go daily, it's rare that I see more than maybe one or two people on my walks. So it's not like there's this whole ton of people that are there on a regular basis just ripping up the land, right? And so I said, do you have some proof that it's the dogs and not, nature? Because, dogs are part of nature. I mean, they have better instincts with nature than we do. If anything's a problem, it's us. But at this place, people pick up their garbage. They pick up the poo. There's, it's rare that you'll see garbage left around and that sort of thing. And we have some studies. I'm like, oh, great. Can you let me see the studies? Oh, well, no, we don't have them here. But it's experts, it's experts that have done them. And I said, oh, really? Experts? And I said, so who's more expert about nature than the animals? Well, these people, they've been to school and they're science this and they're, nature that and all this kind of stuff. And the majority of people were not buying into it. But of course, then there was some that always have something to complain about, right? They saw somebody didn't pick up their poo or whatever. And so then the meeting was over. We'll get back to you with the results. And meanwhile, they had everything already mapped out. It was so apparent that the decision was already made and that we were just there for lip service. They just wanted to be able to say the same kind of thing they're doing with the Indigenous people, right? Yeah, we'll meet you. Yep. Okay. What do you say? Yep. Okay, great. We've done our duty. And now we're going this way. Regardless of what you say, we're going this way. So what they're end up going to do is the area that we've been going to now for max is 8. So we've been going there for 7 years. They're going to be closing that area off and moving us to another area. And you run into the conservation guys on occasion doing their surveys, the experts, quote unquote. And, you talk to them and they really, it's just, we're doing our job, and they think they're doing the right thing. Like, that's the sad thing about it. It's because, they think they're doing the right thing. They don't recognize exactly what they're doing. And I just say, you know what? I'm not leaving. So try and move me off. I'll be walking through here and you won't touch me.
Well,
or my dog.
Like one of the solutions, but one of the solutions, I think it's very important that we demand proof.
Yeah.
And then, because this is what we're trying to do now, is we're going to go out and get some information. We're going to corner these MPs and start asking them these questions. Like, I have no regrets with what happened with Peter MacKay or with Carolyn Bennett, because when I came up to Carolyn Bennett, okay, and she flat out lies to me, I asked her if she was, I told her that I knew that she was on that committee. And her reaction was, what committee? And, she totally threw me for a loop there because I didn't have the list in my hands, okay? And her reaction made me doubt myself. And I'm there, I'm sure I saw her name, but she's going on and on like, oh, no, she's not. She couldn't have been on that committee. And I said, well, Justin's on there. And I know for sure Elizabeth May, Nicole Turmel, even David Suzuki is on there, Maud Barlow. Why are these people not telling the people about this?
Yeah.
That, even if they're on there innocently in the sense to think that they might be able to make a difference, why are they going to their constituents? The only reason why they're not telling their constituents is because they're guilty. End of story.
Yeah.
Why are you hiding this from the public? And you see her body language, like right away she folds her arms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but then she had me doubting myself, and I thought, and I'm telling myself, and I'm kind of thrown off balance there. But sure enough, her name's fourth on the top of the list.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? I really want to see that information, and
you bring up a really good point in everything that we're doing.
She had the balls to say that. And then she lies to me a second time. She lies to me when she says, oh, we go to, basically what she was trying to say is that Canadians don't have enough brains, okay, to rule themselves in a direct democracy. And that really floored me, that, because I'm, we're going back and forth, and I said, well, she says, well, we're the ones who have to look at all the documentation and put it together and go to our constituents. I said, I've never, most don't do that. Oh, but we do. So I sure as hell would like to go back to Toronto and go and do some door knocking. Okay. Yeah. And ask how many people did she come to their doors and ask them if she should be voting on such and such an issue. And she was there to get their consent.
Yeah.
I bet you that never happened.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? That brings up another good point. In anytime you're dealing with corporations, with the government.
Gail, I can't hear you right now.
Oh, how come?
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It was my volume.
Oh, okay. What I was saying is it brings up a really good point in when we're dealing with corporations, government, and anybody in our lives. When people start claiming things, ask questions. Okay, that's awesome what you're telling me. Can you provide me evidence? And by their reaction whether or not they have the evidence. When they come back at you angry and, calling you names and blah, 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 that they don't have the kind of evidence that they say that they have.
Mm-hmm.
We have a call, Nicole. So let me just figure out how to do this. Bring my...
Okay. Because we've got about 10 minutes to break.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to drag it in here. Hello, Bosto, are you here?
My name is Bosto. I live in Chinatown. I think that we have good business. We have best services. That's why we progress. And China government has nothing to do. We are in Chinatown. We offer the best negotiation.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not saying that we're against China or Chinatown. What we're
business.
against is, it's about this government FIPA deal that Canadians will be locked in with the government of China, which is something that we never agreed to, and the government should not be allowed to make those kinds of decisions without the nations, the indigenous nations who still own this land, and they're making decisions without informing the First Nations or the Canadian citizens.
Cool. Well, I was just trolling you. Anyway, welcome to Revolution Radio.
Yay, we made it!
Yeah.
Okay, now Chinatown. Anyway, now I'm going to ask
I
you
love
my second
Chinatown.
question. Chinatown is the best. Anyway, next question. Do you like Trollolo song or do you like Nyan Cat song? What do you prefer?
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Or are you not
Did you,
familiar
Gail?
with this song?
No, I don't think I have a preference.
So you do not like either Trollolo song or Nyan Cat song?
I'm not even sure what that is, actually. You know, I get this feeling like I'm on, what's that guy, Stern, that radio show that he does.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't have the right equipment with me right now. I'm speaking through an onboard laptop. I don't really have my high-quality microphone with me.
Oh.
But I'm trying to offer my incredible Transylvanian accent to you as well as possible.
And a fine one it is.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
But what do you think
what's
about
your
what
show about?
our show
Yes,
is
what
about?
is your show about?
It's about finding solutions to what the government has been doing. Like there's a lot of issues in Canada, United States. Like these things are worldwide, like chemtrails, cloud seeding, all the floods happening, and these deals that the governments are doing behind our backs, and not coming to the people and asking, is that okay with us? That's what our show is about, is what kind of solutions can we offer? And we're asking people to come together, and if they have solutions, to actually come in and help, say what kind of solutions that they could maybe see happening, because we need to get together and find real solutions instead of just complaining.
That is a good idea.
Yeah.
But I was just talking with the other Canadian guy who was before you, and he was, we were talking about how in my country we are actually bombarded with propaganda to go and immigrate in Canada because that's where we should be. It's like a lot of signs. Come now, immigrate to Canada, and your wishes will be fulfilled. When it's
yes, and you will get.
No.
Yes, and if you move to Manitoba, you will get your citizenship within 6 months. But this is what, if you look at the United Nations websites and you look at foreign workers programs and everything that they're doing, under the globalization, it's a assimilation of the entire earth. They want us to relocate everywhere else. And if you look at the pitch that they're doing in France, is that, you can go to Canada, start your business there, and bring all your employees, or you can get foreign workers for next to nothing, and you don't have to pay them any benefits. So it's about displacing everybody in the world around the world, and that's their end game.
Yes.
And then eventually we're all going to be working for nothing.
you have like great jobs there. You have things, you know, you have things. We here have no things. Like, well, except for me. I have a huge castle, I have great land, I have chickens, I have animals, I have best laptop on the market on the world right now. You know, and the break is coming. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Are you staying on with us? Coming back after the break?
If you want me, I can stay.
Sure,
I
stay.
can tell you everything.
You have solutions?
Okay.
We want to hear them.
Okay, great.
Okay, we'll be right back, everybody.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. This is Gail Marie, and Nicole's here with us, and we have a special guest, Voice Toys, joining us. Just a quick thank you to Revolution Radio and all the great listeners and supporters of Revolution Radio for joining us and allowing us to be part of this great team. Nicole, are you back? No. Oyster, are you still here?
Of course, I am always here. I am your best friend now. Okay, so let me be serious now. I'm going to be serious 100%.
Okay.
So, do you want to know about the sacred cult of the winged giraffe?
Is there solutions in it? And knowing about it?
Yes.
Is there some secret
Yes, of course
information?
there are solutions.
Well, that's what we're looking for, is solutions. So please share.
So we on the Revolution Radio, there are some people here who have created a secret society, which is called the Winged Giraffe Secret Society. I'm not trying to fool you. You can ask everyone in the chat room. Ask them if there is a Winged Giraffe Society. And we basically try to make the lives of the people around us more better, you know, more. So if someone has a problem, we can solve it easily. You know, for example, regarding the software, regarding their trolling skills. Like right now, there has been someone called Noodles 5829 who has posted some spam on the chat room and then got kicked. That is not how you properly spam. I can demonstrate to you how you can spam and not be kicked from the chat room.
I love this
Look,
guy.
well, I will avoid clicking on Nighthawk though. But look at this. In one single post, I have bothered all the chat room right now. As you can see, Vostok pokes everyone in the chat room, and I do not get kicked. See? Everyone will hear a ring. Everyone will hear like ring, you know, on the chat room. They will think that someone is actually wanting. Everyone wants to talk to them, but then when they reach the chat room, they actually see that it was just a prank from Vostok. You know.
Humor's always good.
So I teach the trolls.
Well,
teach the trolls how to be real trolls. You know.
Oh, and that's an important skill. We could probably use your services on Facebook, Stephen Harper's page, maybe? No.
Yeah.
Do you
Someone is
are
asking
you
about the winged
hireable?
giraffe.
What's that?
Yes, my PayPal account. I will give you my PayPal account. I must keep my chickens alive. So anyway, there is this just-in-time who thinks that winged giraffe is a joke. It's not a joke. It's the winged giraffe can be summoned by having a magical cape, which you get by having this crystal from the master in Russia, in the Russian mountains. You get codes, the crystal, you put the codes in, they give you the cape, then with the cape you can summon the winged giraffe with which you can travel the universe. I mean, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Okay, can we get one for Stephen Harper and all the MPs? So they can travel the universe and get off this planet?
Yeah.
That would be a
Well,
solution.
you must be one of the chosen ones.
Well, we're choosing them. We're choosing them to go to the universe.
Well, they have to take a private exam with me, or do you want to actually eject them from this planet to the universe and escape from them?
Well, no, it's more we're allowing them to escape from us because we're the ones that have the power. Yeah. We're taking back the power. They're going to be looking for a place to go. We're just being kind.
That's right. And, you know, exactly. Oh. And it's right now, all the countries, all of the citizens in every country needs to get together, and we need to be on the same page here. And, demand for a direct democracy where it's the voice of the people that
join us,
make the decisions.
Join us.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not going to be a secret society. It's going to be open and transparent, and we're inviting you to join us.
Exactly.
Is this a legit by the way? When I say is it legit, or should I work on it more?
It's sounding pretty professional.
Yeah.
See, I just did it right there.
Nicole, we're going to have to work on our ahs.
I don't have my professional microphone, though. I mean, you cannot hear my awesome...
If you hadn't told us, you would never have known.
Bass frequency. Can you hear a lot of hissing sound?
No.
Nope.
I mean, I have to actually...
You're not hissing
I have to actually talk louder than I do normally when I speak through this inbuilt microphone. Even if it's the best laptop, do you see this mechanism of brainwash? They make you buy €1,000 laptop, and then you get a lousy microphone. So you have to buy another microphone, which is another €1,000, and that's outrageous.
Yeah.
And I want to kill them all. I will make a list, and I will kill them all. Or do you think there is another solution? Chat rooms or Revolution Radio are not really good solutions. I mean, chat rooms won't fix the problems. I think I can fix the problems.
What do you think of direct democracy? Yeah, what's your solution?
Direct democracy. Well, there is the doctor called Dr. Eric Fromm from Germany. He has written a number of very good books. In the 1950s, of course, he was far ahead of his time. Mm-hmm. And he has spoken about how democracy became something which it wasn't supposed to be. Actually, democracy was supposed to be supporting the little guy with his business, not these mega corporations, not industrialization.
Exactly.
Because man, once he is working in a giant facility, he loses. He feels that he has no value. He feels that his work is not very valuable because he is part of a giant army of people who do monotonous things. And if you see the principal ideology of democracy, which was created before the 1900s, it was actually supposed to be exactly the opposite of what it has become now, which is a giant monster. So my solution to this would be to create a form of anarchy, but not as anarchy as the teenagers use it today, just drawing some stuff on a wall, but anarchy as it was in the Revolution of Spain, which actually reduced the number of works from 12 to 8. And then Franco, the great fascist, who probably everyone here knows about, he came with giant dictatorship and killed everyone with blood. He killed all the students, all the good thinkers, and that is how fascism actually got burned, by destroying a great evolutionary step, you can call it. So yes, bring forth back the what the Spanish intellectuals did in the 1920s, yes, or was it the 1930s? I do not recall exactly.
Yeah. Well, the idea is we need to start taking responsibility, right?
Exactly. Yep. And
do you agree with that?
That's what scares us.
It's kind of simplistic because you see there is like 90% of the population in which there are people who don't really think. They are unable to think. They don't have any brains. So you need to give them brains first for your strategy to work.
Well, yeah, it's definitely people have been programmed
to not by the fluoride.
Yes, yeah, but you know what? I'm sorry. All of that, there's the fluoride, the chemtrails, all that sort of stuff. But to me, that's not the end of it. Like, we can get beyond that. We can get people.
Yes, we can.
No. No.
I'm speaking about another kind.
I would rather say yes, there are.
I can do all kinds of different. If you want, I can speak like the governor.
Mm-hmm. But coming to the direct democracy again, when I was discussing with
Carolyn Bennett, and she basically, as far as she's concerned, and what she was conveying was that Canadians aren't intelligent enough. And she says, we have to look at all of these documents and put everything together, and then we make the decisions. Canadians can't handle that. And I'm thinking, oh, gosh, I had to bite my tongue.
Yeah.
Okay, because their job is to do that and bring it back to the people in simple terms and explain it to them so the people can make a decisions. That would be what an independent would do, or like each community would elect somebody that they want to represent them without these people having any final decision-making authority. All they do is study the material and give them a definition of an explanation of what it is so that they can make a sound judgment. And you don't need to have a lot of brains to do that. Common sense will dictate whether it's good or not. Like the STIPA deal with China, it's not good.
Yes, especially when you have animals who are very aggressive by nature and their morals, and there you have to acknowledge that there are people who have their sense of morality distorted. And if you give those people complete freedom and empowerment, they will actually enslave those around them and create like mini dictatorships around,
Well, that's what we're living in today. Today we're living in, the political party elections.
We live in a giant dictatorship. We live in a giant world dictatorship. But in a mini dictatorship, it will be worse because that person will be like, I want you to, I don't know, I can say something shocking right now, but you get what I mean. So in a mini dictatorship, it's going to be far more worse because there are going to be experiments on people which can, there are experiments right now on people, but for example, when you go to war, you actually have the choice. You can say they put propaganda to make you go to war, but in the past, they will just drag you with the rope and say, hey, you gotta go to war now, and drag you directly on the field, and if you didn't do that, they would cut your head. So I think society has progressed, even if there still is manipulation. At least it's not a direct violation. It's like I don't know, like on a ski slope. They are trying to make. We are the how do you call them, the obstacles, and they are trying to go around them. As before, we weren't even obstacles back then. We were just pawns that they could just put wherever they wanted.
Yeah, well, in
true.
many cases, they still are doing what they want, but we are challenging them more. But you know what?
That's
I mean,
and what?
Go ahead, Nicole.
Go ahead, Gail.
I was just going to say it's really. I mean, it's a fascinating time to be alive. That's very cliche to say, I know, but because there is so many people that are starting to recognize things, including ourselves. I mean, 5 years ago, I was no different than, the vast majority at that time. And not that I may be that much different now, but I'm a little bit more aware and continuing to search and seek. And I think there's a lot of people that are moving in that direction and recognizing, you know, that their ability to think has been hampered with, and are sort of learning to rethink or how to think again. I'd like to think that anyways. Go ahead, Nicole.
Yeah, well, my point was that, you know, common sense is slowly drifting back in, and thank goodness for that. And it's with people who,
you know, it's by talking about it and trying to come up with solutions that we're going to be able to identify, like, to me, one of the greatest solutions is to look at the facts and bring out, expose the truth, expose the lies. And because if you look at what killed democracy was the political party elections. And by voting in for political parties who have to, you know, MPs have to toe the line and they have to listen to their caucus, that is what killed our democracy. Now the MPs can no longer vote for what the people want, otherwise they will get fired. So, you know, that is the culprit. And so if every country decided to go with direct democracy and end political party elections and revoking final decision-making authority out of all levels of governance, we'd have this, it would be a slam dunk. And I think that we'd be able to get along a lot better. We'd be more educated on everything that's going on. And we need to instill all of this in re-educating the children and putting that in even as far as having night classes to be able to educate the population. So I think it's very doable, but every country should be jumping in.
Nighthawk classes?
Pardon?
What are you talking about? Are you talking about Nighthawk classes?
Nighthawk classes? No.
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
We haven't sat through any of them.
Or glasses, or glasses made by Nighthawk, which you can use to see the commercials and see buy, consume, you know, just like in that movie They Live. I'm sure you have seen it.
Yeah.
But you are not familiar with the works of Dr. Erich Fromm from Germany.
We're gonna have to.
I heard about Fromm. Yeah. Actually, somebody mentioned
on the Mike Wallace show.
He's got an interview with
Mike
some
Wallace? Very good work.
Okay. Well, thank you very
much.
Yes,
he has an interview with Mike. Yes, 25 minutes in which you will actually get his whole philosophy, even if you haven't read all of the books. I have read them because I like to read. You know, I'm from Europe, and here we read stuff.
Cool. Well, we'll have to look him up.
Yeah. Yes, Canada Live in the chat room says democracy was a scam to keep the common people divided. Fact. Well, yeah, they totally blindside us with a fake democracy. True democracy is where the voice of the people are the decision makers. And as far as I'm concerned, my thoughts are that when it's the voice of the people that make the final decisions, there's not very much room for corruption because your word is out there. And it's up to us to stop relying on Joe Blows to make decisions for us, to enslave us. Not everybody thinks the same way, and especially in Canada, we are multicultural here, and we also have the First Nations who are still dealing with land claims issues. And, you know, Canada does not all belong to the Canadian people. This country still belongs to the First Nations, and Canada did steal all of the provinces. We know that for a fact now. We have the proof of it. So, you know, we need to be able to come together as Canadians, and especially immigrants here, to understand the First Nations, what they've gone through, and know the whole history before we can even decide that who is best to run this country. Well, who is best to run this country than both sides, the Indigenous on one side and the Canadian citizens on the other, and then we come together and reach a consensus on both sides. So our issue here. Pardon?
I want to ask a question. What specific ideology would you bring to your state so it can be better?
Well, it would be, first of all, the direct democracy. In Canada, the history goes with the First Nations here. There was a treaty called the Two-Row Wampum Treaty. And that was okay. Like, the first 500 people probably came over, and the nations were over 100 million at that time, or close to. So they made a deal with maybe 500 people that you can govern yourselves, but you don't interfere in what we're doing, and we won't interfere in what you're doing. But now the tables have turned. There's only about 5 million or so Native Americans, Indigenous peoples here in Canada and the United States together, but they still have those treaty rights. They still have those land claims, and we have to even though we're almost 330 million between Canada and the United States, we are still the settlers here, and we have to abide by the promises that our ancestors have made, even though the governments never kept them up. So if we make
hello.
Yeah.
Can you describe
the
what
way
direct democracy is? Yes, to the people.
Yeah,
the
well,
people
direct
might want to know direct democracy. What
that's
it means.
Direct democracy, it would be for us to be the final decision makers. And what would happen in every community, we have our mayor's office, like our city halls. These people would no longer have any decision-making authority other than what we'd want them to do without having to run to us every 5 minutes. But we can all decide that at the community level. And then what they would do is they would bring us things that we need to decide upon. And every citizen would have to participate, whether they like to or not, because at some point we do have to take care of our responsibility, and we already have the technology where we could do this all from inside of our homes, and be connected to City Hall or wherever, our community center, and then these people would organize everything that we need to know and what we need to vote on, which is what they're supposed to do in the first place anyway. So right now,
can I add something
in 1931,
important?
Yes?
I want to add something important. I bet you have heard of Cornelius Castoriadis, Hannah Ardent, and Pierre Clastres, who are one of people who are inspired a lot, with this concept of direct democracy. They were one of the pioneers in this kind of thing. And also, going back to Dr. Eric Fromm, he was also fascinated and said about the importance of the direct action and involvement of the citizen into the political activities of the country. And that is something that has disappeared from today's world, and no one knows anything except for celebrity gossip. So yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, because Canada, what happened in 1930, if you look between 1919 and 1935, a lot of things transpired here, and especially in the Commonwealth of countries. And what happened is the imperial crown there was a coup d'etat done with the imperial crown, and this is where the City of London and everybody took over. Canada became the Crown Corporation, and it's just a business. And now, like, even in our laws, our justice system, we're treated as entities. we're not even treated as human beings, and we need to change that. We need to bring it back. See, the nations, as far as they're concerned, North America is called Turtle Island, and if you look at the UCC and maritime law and all this, you kind of get a picture of what they tried to do to have jurisdiction over humanity, basically, and they instilled this in all of the countries under the Commonwealth, but or the countries that they invaded and colonized. So now we're looking at all of this history, which is totally bogus. It's our laws don't even make sense. In Canada, we can show you that we have different statutes that contradict each other. We have different laws that contradict each other. So when you're looking at that, the government has two sets of books. And the country itself, what I'm trying to explain, like with the Indigenous peoples, is Turtle Island is still there. Canada, as far as it is, like we started a group, a movement called I Accuse, which is Indigenous and Civil Unified Sovereign Enactment, and that's to create a new two-role living constitution where we are on one side and the Indigenous people are on the other, and then we come together in consensus right from the community level. And if you look at the United States Constitution, that was created by the Haudenosaunee, which are the Iroquois. So they really helped build the U.S. Constitution, but then the U.S. Constitution was defiled. And what they used to do is every little community would vote on issues. And we can do this at our level, our community level, and start re-educating everybody. We don't have to have the whole country fall apart. When the government leaves for 4 months, or Harper or one of the provinces prorogues government, nothing falls apart. The management is still there. Everything still happens. But what we need to do is have one referendum, removing final decision-making authority, choosing direct democracy, which wipes out representative democracy, which is what stole our voices. And then, then we can decide what do we want to change, and we can vote on and fix. Like, there's no reason why anybody should be afraid of this. The country is not going to fall apart. They create money out of thin air anyways. Well, hey, let's create our own money to interchange within Canada, and whatever countries wants to still interchange with us will come along, and we can fix this. Did I answer your question?
Did you know? Yes, you did. You are very knowledgeable, and I appreciate you for that. I do want to add that, for example, in ancient Athens, if you are familiar with that period of time, actually the public opinion of the voting people, because they had the first form of Greek democracy, which I want to hear your opinion on, but first I want to say that the political satire of the comic poets actually influenced the public opinion of the people. So it's like if today someone would make their political opinions based on what they see on the Onion News or on the Colbert Report, or listening to Doug Stanhope or to other comedians, which is kind of fun. But Greek Athens. What do you think of their system of? Because it's the first non-democracy as we know it.
Yeah, it was the first non-democracy, but all past democracies up until 2014 all had faults. And it's like with Switzerland, their democracy. But people are easily influenced. Well, now it's time for people to educate themselves. We have no excuse. We're not totally brain dead yet. So nobody says that we have to rush into anything.
On the ancient Greece democracy?
Well, the ancient Greece democracy didn't really work either. Yeah, but that didn't work either.
But why did it work? Of course it did, but
it
why
didn't work
it
because
work?
of the influence. Again, because of miseducation.
Aha.
Misinformation.
I think it was it also because only a limited group of people would be allowed to vote. So it's like It's like just a select group of people constituted the people who are voting, you know, and that's also something that we must take into account. And now everyone can vote,
well, that's what's
but
even
everyone's opinion is distorted. It's like distorted, and we vote either A, which stinks, or B, which stinks too. So it's not cool.
Yeah, but listen,
it's a big illusion.
Well, yes, but listen, anything right now is better than what they're doing to us. And if we were able to at least make a decision, even if it's the wrong decision, it's better than being the absolute wrong decision. We can learn from our mistakes. But it's going to be hard. We have a lot of intelligent people here. And, you know, if everything is kind of simplified, we're so used to rushing. The only ones who are rushing us into decision-making or like rushing our government are the corporations. Or the UN level, or other countries, corporations who want to be able to have access to oil and gas. Corporations like the tar sands, countries like China who are trying to rule this country through its natural resources. The ones who want to exploit the people and the country.
Yes, how about USA who wants to exploit my country, putting a lot of bases in it?
Absolutely. Like these are all corporate. They are corporations. Now it's no longer United Nations, it's United Corporations. And it's all about the money. And if you know how the UN system works, if you look at oil and gas, when you're dealing with oil and gas at the UN, if you are a big company, and you can give the UN 10% of your sales as a donation, you have no quotas. You could pull out however amount of barrels out of that earth as you can possibly can. If you cannot afford to give them the 10%, then you have a limit on the barrels that you can pull out and within the gas and the oil. And I know that because I had gone to Paris and we were looking at an oil and gas deal. And those were the stipulations for the United Nations. And I just about fell because, again, at the UN, it's money talks. So now we have to put the voice of the people above the money, because we're going to end up having nothing left because of these corporations. All of these governments, China is just as much at fault, and so is the United States, and so is the UK, and so is France, and so is Germany, and so is Russia.
Correct.
All of these countries.
Correct.
All of these countries. The people have to turn on their government. Yes. Go ahead.
Cool. Well, there is a delay. I think you guys hear me with like 3 seconds in, after I say what I say. So, have you heard of a corporation called Gabriel Resources from Canada?
No, I haven't.
Yes.
I haven't
either. They are currently, their specialization is in gold cyanide mining. And they do that throughout the world, killing a lot of people, the cyanide pills, and it's very bad. They're doing this. They're actually trying to create a new mine in my country right now, in one of the most beautiful places in Transylvania, and they are trying to destroy. The environmental dangers. Imagine beautiful forests of Transylvania going away just like that, because of Gabriel Resources from Canada. What do you have to say about this? That China is not coming here. A Canadian corporation is coming here.
We have to.
Well, this is what's happening, though.
Canadians have to start taking responsibility. Sorry.
Exactly. Okay, what we're trying to get at is that we have a lot of corporations, international corporations, that are here listed as Canadian corporations. So we're going to have to go down and see exactly who owns these corporations, because they're not legitimate Canadian corporations. They're only registered as Canadian. And then they're going and doing things all over the world. It's not just there. You should see what they're doing in Peru and all of these other countries. And this is where we have to do something so that we can stop everything that they're doing worldwide. So when you're looking at these Canadian corporations, they are not owned by Canadians. They are owned by international corporations, but listed as Canadian. And when you had the women from Peru here who were trying to bring a Canadian corporation to court, because these guys had gone in there and they burnt their village, they killed some of the men, they raped the women, and they're trying to go to court here. Well, when you follow who owns that corporation, they are not actual Canadians. They were not born and raised Canadians who have these companies. Most of the companies here have already been bought out by U.S. entities or European entities or Chinese entities or Australian entities. So we really have to see, these corporations are worldwide now. And how can I say, we're really going to have to research who is leading these companies and putting a stop to this. Because it is our responsibility as far as Canadians, what these registered corporations are doing in our name everywhere else in the world, even though we don't get a dime from them, or we don't benefit from them, because most of the corporations don't pay any taxes. They get all tax breaks. So they're not really bringing anything to us other than pillaging our lands and everybody else's land. So we have to switch things from a corporation standpoint and bring it back to a humanitarian lifestyle, because we've lost that humanity and it's been replaced by what they call a person, which is nothing, which is not even a human being. If you look at the definition of person, it is not a human being. It is a corporate entity. So I know that a lot of people get confused by that, but that's the reality of how things go. So if we just take a deep breath, move slowly, we don't have to move fast. What we have to move fast on is removing their power. And only by doing one referendum, one referendum is all we need. And all we need to ask is, who is best to decide for you and your family and what happens to this country? You or to remain in the type of democracy we have now, where we vote for somebody who will dictate how we live. So mostly everybody answers that is, well, we're best to decide. So if we stick to that one question, very simple question, who's best to decide, you or some Joe Blow that you're going to elect, guaranteed people are going to pick themselves. And once we do that, we don't need to rush into anything. Everybody's still going to get their pension checks. Everything's still going to work. What we need to rush is to stop and find out exactly what's going on in this country. Open up all the documents, make sure that everything is out in the open for everybody to see and read. And then, we stop what we want to stop. And we don't have to, do anything massive overnight. Like when the United States came out with their Constitution back in the 1700s, well, I should say 1812. And when they created their Constitution, what happened there was that it took them 12 years to finally agree to that Constitution. In Canada, we have been without a true Constitution since 1931. Nothing fell apart. Trudeau decided that, okay, people are getting too smart. They know that we are without a Constitution. So he implemented his, but still kept parts of the old one, which was de facto anyway. And the nations should have been at the tables in 1931, the First Nations. and they should have had the right to true decolonization, which still puts them in the driver's seat here in Canada and in the United States. So a lot of people don't understand all this. But right now, if we stuck to the basics, we'd be able to see clearly, and we don't need to be afraid. It's a no-brainer. And then we can stop all the atrocities. And we can answer all the questions because we'll have access to all the documents.
Amen. Praise the Lord.
Leaves.
Okay, so I want to see.
Did everybody leave?
Gail Marie. I haven't heard Gail Marie for half an hour now. What's up?
Well, this is Nicole's expertise in this area. This is where she's done all her research. Mine is more on the personal empowerment side, managing emotions, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I am on the computer side.
Pardon me?
I am on the computer side.
He's on the computer.
I have any problems.
Well, you're very handy to know then, I'm sure.
I am a
well, we're going to need computer people.
Definitely.
Hey, well, we're going to need to find ways of getting everybody hooked up to, like, we can print money out of thin air anyway, so we can hook up everybody with free hydro, electricity, right off the bat, and, a cable station in their home where they'll see everything that they need to vote on, and get them voting stations inside their homes or use their telephone.
What do you think about recashing?
This is the type
what do you think about never gonna give you up by recashing?
Are you trying to rickroll us?
No, I'm just asking what do you think about this art material.
Rickrolling is pretty funny.
Yes.
Do you know what a rickroll is?
Art.
Have you ever been rickrolled?
No, I have no idea.
I wonder what it is.
Somebody puts a video.
I don't know, Rick Ashley.
Yeah.
It's a great artist. Old Ashley. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, people have been using it as a joke. They'll post something up and have you click on it, and you think it's something important or interesting, and you click on it, and it turns out to be a video. That particular video, I think, where you have Rick Astley singing that song. That's called being rickrolled.
Yes, that's so shocking. That's very shocking. How would you allow this to happen?
Wow.
Yeah, I'd like to answer a question that Canada Live has put, or a statement that Canada Live has put on the chat room. Says, we own the land. Possession is 90% of the law. We possess land and we must claim it. Forget Canada, it's a fiction. Well, we can't forget Canada because we have 35 million people here, and a lot of them don't understand any of this. And they will not want to, they will choose the government before they will listen to us if we say, oh, let's wipe out the Canadian name. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. We just need to fix what's wrong. So, I understand what Canada Live is saying, but at the same time, people really need to stop and think, what are 35 million Canadians or 33 million Canadians going to do, or even the nations, because a lot of them are afraid of change because they're afraid that they're not going to get their pension checks anymore. What's going to happen? Are we going to starve? Are we going to? No, none of that needs to happen. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We take out what's bad and we keep what's good. And people need to adjust. So we're going to have to kind of, wean ourselves off slowly, but start one step at a time. And if we're careful, we can do this properly, and we can become the example for the rest of the world. Mind you, most places, if you look at Iceland, they are indigenous to those lands, and there's only 287,000, so we can't compare ourselves to them. But we sure as hell can take a breath, take our power back, and take a breather, make sure nothing goes wrong. We don't need to rush into anything. But as far as say forget Canada. A lot of people still like that name. They don't even see anything wrong with our government, which is the scariest thing of all. And they will vote against us if we scare them off. So we need to tread lightly, and that's all I'd like to remind everybody, is that you have to think of what 35 million people will say and do, not just because I think it should be one way or you think it should be one way. What is the majority going to do? And that's how we have to make our moves constantly, because that's what the government does. And after studying them, you see exactly what they do and how they treat us. Yes.
Protected son.
Yes.
I'd like to say that when it comes to 35 million people, there are 35 million people with different backgrounds in their life, with different moral concepts, different ideologies. Even it's the same revolution and they think that they fight for the same thing, they all actually think differently what freedom means. Freedom can mean for you the ability to, I don't know, freedom can mean for me something different. So when you say 35 million people can join together for a common cause, it's actually something very impossible. So explain.
I don't see it as impossible, because we need to keep it simple. One question, simple question at a time, and we will make this happen.
Yes, well, that's
we need
like
to do our homework.
What if one from those 35 million, what if some let's say someone from those 35 million people says that we don't need to do it simple, we need to do it complicated. And I have complicated ideas. I mean, that will contradict with you, so that will create another war. So it's like no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. You put it to a vote. No, you put it to a vote, and if people can't understand your idea, they're going to stick to what they know, what they think they know.
Vote.
And I mean,
so what if 90%
the thing
of the people are idiots?
Well, that might be your thoughts on it, but give people, we can't condemn everybody, and we need to be realistic. Not everybody is stupid in Canada when we give them the information. Once we give them the information, then they'll decide. But we got to make sure that we don't throw them in a corner where they're going to choose. No, not like America. But we have to make sure we don't push them in the corner where they're going to choose government over us and globalization. If we keep saying but, we're never going to make a forward move. We have to take nothing could be worse than what's coming. Nothing. So we have to make our move. And we can't let fear stop us.
Gather our horses and let's march.
Exactly, and let the chips fall.
I mean,
but we need
you
to
have
let the
better
chips fall.
speeches. I try to make my own.
Well, that's because I've been sticking my nose in this for 6 years, and I've looked at people, I've listened to people, but if we simplify everything, which is our job to do, and explain it properly, and we don't need to make any decisions that will change anything. We just keep the status quo, so nothing bad can happen. The only ones who are going to be suffering out of this are the corporations.
The dishwasher machine.
Yeah, well, the only ones who are going to be crying.
Mr. Proper.
Yeah, but listen, we're trying to do a show on solutions here. And the thing is
yes,
if we don't move
forward,
solutions. Yeah. Okay, we're trying to do a serious show here, no offense, okay? And the message here that we're trying to give to people is not a comedy hour, but a solutions-based thing. I know that it's good to keep the comedy going, but at the same time, this is serious. And we don't have time to waste here.
Utopia.
I don't believe in utopia.
Impossible utopia. That is something which is not. That's why I'm doing comedy, because you're being too serious and you're speaking of things without detail. You don't even know anything about ideology. You don't know the important name of the people of before. Without an understanding of history, how can you create something for the future? You will just repeat the same mistakes and bang your head on the wall.
Well, we don't have to even go that far to begin with. We know what's coming, which is globalization. Take your pick. You want to stay, you want to remain Canada for Canadian citizens and the First Nations, or you want to join in globalization. What's so hard about making that decision? We don't have to go through all of the history to make that one decision. Do we need to know all about history to know that our government is not being fair and that we want change? Do we have to know the whole history to choose between direct democracy or representative democracy? No, we don't. Like, no offense, but we don't need to know all of that.
The mind, mess. You will reach these problems when you will have a giant mess on your face, and each of them will have different opinions.
Oh, I don't think so. I disagree.
Fantastic.
Because we need to just
go around the world.
We just need to stick to basics.
I think the conversation is
right
a good
now
one to have, though. Like, I think we need to have these kinds of conversations.
Absolutely. You need to have controversy because a lot of people are thinking along one line, but when you look at it, we don't need to make mountains out of moles. Okay, and when you're looking at direct democracy, never mind globalization, never mind what the corporations are doing, never mind anything else. Who should be deciding for you what's best for you and your family? Bingo, period. Nothing more than that. Should you pick an MP to make your decisions, or should you pick yourself under direct democracy? That's as basic as we need to get here. We don't even need to mention anything else. So that's the reality of things. You know? So who do you want? Do you want to vote for somebody every 4 years that'll make decisions over you, or do you want to make the decisions yourself? And whatever 35 million is going to decide, that's what's going to happen. But at least let's get it out there. Let's not just say, oh, we can't do it because we don't know how. I mean, that's a crock. We're in 2014.
You have very good
make decisions every
words.
day.
Okay, you're very good at words. I mean, you even judge me, which I am like a stone cold block.
But it's good because a lot of people are scared. It's not going to be easy, but if we stick to basics and we don't need to go fast. The only ones who need to go fast are the corporations who want to do everything fast so they can make money. And that's it. You know, we don't need to rush into it. We need to rush into getting our final decision-making authority, yes. But after that, then we start cleaning up. We start studying. We get informed. And, you know, who cares? Like,
they treat them like cattle. They kill them. If you go if you go in front of some kind of authority nowadays and try to say the stuff, they won't even listen to you. They'll just spray in your eyes and put the police on you. They now have masks on people, on police, so it seems that they are not human. It contributes to the fear factor. So it's very hard. I mean, they don't care about us, just like that Michael Jackson guy says, or whatever his name is. You know, it's very hard. And we are speaking about it.
But they're not all like that. But they're not all like that.
On YouTube. I hope so.
Yeah, but they're not all like that. You know, some of them are still human. Police.
I hope they are.
Some of them are still human. Yeah.
From
my experience, from what I've seen.
I'm going to make them immortal.
Yeah. But from what I've seen, the people in who came to Montreal. Oh, are we done?
Yeah, wow.
Oh, wow. We need you to get back on with us.
Yeah. See you next week, Bosco. You coming back?
I don't know.
He better.
Maybe.
Well, thanks so much, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks so much.
See you all next week.
Yeah, you're much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bosco. Bye-bye.